Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Let's get right into it. So we're going to start out with our traditional breathing exercises. Actually, right before we begin, I did want to say if you have a band, you should grab that. We're going to use that today. But if you don't have a band, that's okay. We will adapt. So you're going to start on your back. Hands are going to be up in the air. Ribs are going to be down, meaning you don't want them to be flared. You want them to be down. So that means like doing a little bit of a pelvic tilt. You can either have your feet flat on the ground or up in the air. And all we're going to do is you're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, keeping your back flat on the ground, trying to expand not into your stomach, but through your ribs. The idea is to expand your rib cage. And then after you breathe in, you're going to breathe all the air out, pause for 2 seconds, get that lower core engaged, and then breathe in again. And we're going to do 5 breaths here. Here we go. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. You may notice that you just can't get a deep breath, and that might be just because your ribs are tight. So just a more shallow breath is okay, as long as you're just breathing through your rib cage. Always think about keeping those ribs down, that back flat on the ground. If you feel your lower core engaging, that's good. One more here. Nice work. Okay, we're gonna go into dead bugs so you can actually stay in this position. For the first round of dead bugs, what we're gonna do is legs are gonna be up in the air at 90 degrees, arms are gonna be straight up in the air, and we're gonna increase it this time 15 each side. So make sure you have that pelvic tilt, your back is flat on the ground. If your back starts coming up, you shouldn't go down as far. So you're gonna extend your opposite arm and opposite leg, but if your back starts coming up, if your low back starts coming up, just don't go down as far, maybe go to there. You really wanna feel that low core engaging. So we're gonna do 15 each side. Here we go. Really think about extending that arm, feeling your whole core system work, but also when you pull that leg back up, really pulling that up through your lower core. You have about 5 more left on your first side. Don't need to go through these fast. It's better to do them slow. Once you've done 15, you can switch sides. About 5 more here. Remember to keep that back flat. Nice work, everybody. Okay, we're gonna go into hamstring march. So we're gonna be back on our back still. You're gonna bring your glutes, squeeze your glutes and hamstrings and bring up your low back. Make sure you have that pelvic tilt. You don't want to be arching your back. So only come up as high as you can. And all you're gonna do is gonna be picking up one leg. But the idea is not to be letting your hips drop when that happens, right? You want to keep your hips very stable. You don't want to have a lot of movement. I mean, you're going to have a little bit, but the idea is to be as stable as possible. Okay, so we're going to do 30 total. In 3, 2, 1, here we go. If you feel instability, squeeze that butt cheek more. It's going to give you more stability. If you're not squeezing your butt cheek, you're going to feel really unstable. So when you put your foot down, before you lift your other foot up, squeeze that butt cheek. Imagine you had a glass of water sitting on your stomach and you don't want it to spill. That's how stable you want your hips to be. Nice work. Okay, we're gonna go into open book, which is a nice thoracic exercise. So you're gonna be on your side, your knees are gonna be up at 90 degrees, your hands are gonna be out in front of you, and all you're gonna do is open up. So the thing you don't wanna have happen is to have your top knee to slide back. So your top knee, your knees wanna stay stacked, your hips wanna stay stacked. You don't want, this isn't a hip exercise, it's a thoracic exercise. So you're really turning from your upper thoracic area. And if it's particularly stiff and you can't go as far, that's okay. But you're just gonna do this 5 times each side. You may notice you get a little bit of an adjustment. You may notice you feel a stretch in your bicep actually. You may feel a little stretch in your ribs here. Take your time. You can pause when you're open for a second or two. It's a really good opening exercise. Once you've done 5, you can switch sides. Really think about trying to like push your rotation through that T-spine while keeping your hips stacked. All right, we're gonna go back to the dead bugs. If you have your band, you can grab that now, and if you don't have your band, that's okay. So quickly, if you do not have your band, all you're gonna do, you're gonna put your opposite arm and leg together and you're gonna push. And by pushing, what that's gonna do is that it's gonna engage your oblique here. And we're gonna do 10-second holds, which we're also gonna do with the band. So you can just follow along. If you have the band, you can just put them around your feet. I'm going to turn my stopwatch on, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna extend out, extend our arms overhead, and we're gonna hold for 10 seconds, starting now. Think about keeping that low core engaged. Switch sides. Switch sides. Keeping that back flat on the ground, really extending overhead. Feeling those obliques doing some work. Switch sides. Switch sides. Last one, switch sides. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna go back to our glute bridge. We're gonna do something that we've done a lot of, which is just single leg hold. We're just gonna do 30 seconds each side and then move on to our next round. So coming up, we're gonna hold for 30 seconds, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Talked about this before, but you really don't want to be arching your back. You want more of a pelvic tilt, and you want all that work to be in your hamstrings and glutes. Great work. You have 10 seconds left. Arms up in the air. You don't want to be pressing off of your elbows at all. And switch sides in 3, 2, 1, switch. See if you can get a little bit higher. Just squeeze that glute for those last 10 seconds. You got it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and down. Nice work. Okay, moving on to the next round. Bear crawl. Everybody's favorite. We're gonna be on our hands and knees. Toes are going to be tucked under. Now, you don't want to be arching your back, but what you want to do is push up. If you can see, there's a difference between arching your back and pushing up through your scapula. I don't know if you guys can see that. See how I'm pushing up through my scapula? If you want to push up through your scapula, then you're going to come up just an inch off the ground. Now, you can either hold in that position, or you're going to march forward 4, back 4, okay? And we're going to do that for 1 minute. Get that scapula up. Let's come up in 3, 2, 1, go. March forward, 2, 3, 4, back, 2, 3, 4. Just keep doing that for a minute. Think about having a glass of water on your back. You want to have as little movement from your hips as possible. Nice work. You've got about 15 seconds left. Three, 2, 1, and down. Nice job. All right, we're gonna do side planks with a little bit of rotation in there. So if you don't want to come all the way up using a staggered stance, that's okay. You can come up on your knees like so. The key is not to have your hips piked. You want to have your hips forward. Okay, so you're really engaging those glutes. And all we're going to do is rotate. If you are okay to go into an actual side plank, you can come up and we will be rotating through to give your upper body, that thoracic area, a little bit of stretch. So we're going to do 10 each side. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, come up. Really think about reaching as far as you can. Couple more. Nice work. Switch sides once you've done 10. It's a really good exercise because you're getting both the core engagement as well as a little bit of rotational work for your mobility. One more. Nice job. It's so funny. Some days, some exercises are more challenging than others. Today, that one was a challenge for me because my back is tight. Okay, we're going to get the band. If you don't have your band, that's okay. We're going to stand up and you're going to put the band just above your ankles. If you don't have a band, I'm just going to quickly show you what we're going to do. You're going to have a slightly squat position and you're going to just do a toe touch, okay? So the idea is not to like be moving your hips. You want to be engaging that glute, sitting into it, knee is aligned over your ankle, and keeping that hip really stable. Now, if you have the band, we're going to be doing the same exact thing, but you're just going to have a little bit of resistance. But again, you don't want to be shifting, right? You want to be really stable, sit into that hip, and both on the out and the in, you want to have as little movement as possible. So you're really engaging that the hip, this hip here, and that glute that's squatting. So we're going to do 10 of those on each side. Okay, starting in 3, 2, 1. Really try to think about having good tension throughout your entire foot. So you want to have nice balance between your tension on your big toe and your little toe. This needs to be something you feel really controlled with. Once you've done 10, switch sides. I have a tendency to drop my hip on my left side when I run. So this exercise is a really good hip engagement exercise for me before I run. And it's hard for me. Some days I'm better than others. That stabilizing that you have to do when you bring your leg out is hard. Nice job. All right, we're gonna go back to the bear crawl. We're gonna do another minute here, or you're just gonna do a straight hold. Okay, and we will start. Get my timer up. We'll start in 5 seconds. Don't forget to get that scapula up. Come up and begin. If you're just holding and you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you could just do shoulder taps or even just lift one hand. The other thing you could do is you could lift your leg, just trying to be as stable as possible. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, if you're marching back and forth, remember to keep your knees just above the ground. You don't want to be bringing them up. Keep that scapula extended. We've got about 30 seconds left here. Nice work. 3, 2, 1, and down. I forgot to include our mobility exercise in the last round. So let's do a round of cobras. We'll just do 10 cobras this round. Just coming up. Remember to keep your glutes and low back as loose as possible. Bring your shoulders back. These do not have to be fast. Couple more. Nice work. Okay, we're going back to the side plank roll. Again, you can either do it on your knees or with a staggered stance, and we're gonna do 10 each side. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Once you've done 10, switch sides. You may notice that round was a little bit better. Maybe you're a little bit more engaged. Back to the bands. We're just gonna do 10 each side. So remember, again, a little bit of a squat, whatever side you're gonna start out with, you gotta really engage that glute. You want your ankle, your knee over your ankle, and just really be strong and firm. You don't want any wobbling of your knee. You don't want any movement of your hip, or as little as possible. So every rep, you should be feeling that glute engage. And really just trying to take a firm stance. I see some of you standing up a little bit. Squat a little bit more into that hip if you can. Okay, once you've done 10, switch sides. Squat, get that engagement. Really feel that big toe pressing in. Nice work. All right, last round here. We're just doing one thing of each. So we're gonna start out with the mobility exercise, which is an adductor stretch, my favorite. I always like to include it in because it feels good to me. So we're gonna be on our knees. Just gonna bring one leg out to the side. Remember to keep that outside foot flat on the ground. So you're able to stretch through those peroneals and outer leg muscles. You're just gonna rock back and forth. After this, we're gonna do one hollow rock hold, and then we're gonna do an iso split squat hold to end. Switch sides. All right, we're going to, can you guys still hear me? I just had to take my AirPods off. Okay. We're gonna do the hollow rock. So I'll quickly show you what it is. You're gonna be on the ground, extended out, arms are gonna be overhead. You want your feet to be as low to the ground as you can. However, you have to keep that pelvic tilt and that low core engaged. So if you can't keep that position with your legs on the ground, you can bring your legs up, you can bend your knees a little bit, whatever is going to work for you to allow you to keep, because if you are arching your low back, you're not getting the purpose of the exercise, which is to engage that low core and that whole core chain. So like just having your feet close to the ground, if your back is arched, is like nothing for you at all. So it's better to give yourself a little bit of leeway and not have your feet as close to the ground or have your knees bent a little bit and do it the right way than try to, you know, say you got it done. So we're gonna hold this for 45 seconds. And we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. And you may find that some days are easier than others. Some days it's really hard. I will tell you, some days I'm like up here, and other days feel like I could go forever with my feet close to the ground. So it's really, really, really variable. but you guys are doing great. Really think about your breathing through those ribs, extending your arms as overhead as you can. Really think about drawing your belly button into your chest so you're engaging that low core. You have just 15 seconds left here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Okay, last thing, everybody's favorite, the split squat iso hold. It's hard, but it's really good for you. So we're gonna be up, and here's what we're gonna have. You're gonna have a split stance, okay? You don't want your knee behind your ankle. You do not want your knee in front of your ankle. You want your knee perfectly aligned with your ankle at 90 degrees. You're going to raise your heel if you can. The idea of this is just to have a little bit of, it gives you a little bit of imbalance, I guess, to like help drive some of those smaller muscles. And you're gonna go into a squat, okay? And we're gonna hold this for 45 seconds each side. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. The lower you go, the better, but do what feels comfortable for you. The more you engage your glute, the less pressure you're gonna have on your quad. If you're feeling a little bit of unbalance, your ankle or foot are shaking a little bit, that's okay, that's the point. If you think about when your foot strikes the ground when you're running, all the imbalances that come there. Just 10 seconds left here. Try to go down a little bit further if you can. 3, 2, 1, come up. Switch sides. And we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go. It's a really hard exercise. It's really good for you. Nice work, just 15 seconds left. Try to go a little bit lower if you can. Three, 2, 1, and up. Nice work, everybody. That's hard. You guys did a great job today. It was a good session. So great job. And we'll see everybody next week. Thanks again. Thanks for joining.